From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Hey guys, TGIF, you guys have made it through another week. OMG. We're still here investigating the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. And of course, there's a lot of new details that are coming out every day. And as this case extends, the family is getting looked into, and they're getting looked into hard. Check all of this out. We've got a lot of stuff to go over today related to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. He's the missing 15-year-old autistic boy out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, and he has not been seen since. However, we do have some updates on the photograph. So I wanted to go through some stuff with you guys this morning about the possible sighting of Sebastian, which is right here. This has kind of put social media in a tailspin, because a lot of people believe that this might be Sebastian Rogers, and of course, anything to the contrary is not popular opinion. However, we did get clarification because there was a article or a post that went out from wherever Nick Barris works, NC5 or something like that. And it was from a colleague of his that said that, at this moment, we went over it yesterday. I think I might still have it. At this moment, there has not been any credible leads to Sebastian Rogers. Here it is. From A.B. Watson, and talking about Nick Barris has been following this, and there's been no confirmed sighting, and this was one day, which is now 2 days ago, and attaching the photograph of Nick Barris. So clearly there has been no confirmed sightings, but according to Nick himself, law enforcement has not been able to confirm whether that person is Sebastian or not. But up to this point, there is no credible sighting. So I wanted you guys to hear it for yourself.
Said that she noticed this young man who very strongly resembled Sebastian. This woman was in a rush trying to meet some family, saw it, just thought, hey, that looks a little like him, took a snapshot, and then had to go on her way. Her friend then posted it on social media, and everyone is aflutter over whether or not this could potentially be Sebastian Rogers at a rest stop or visitor center in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. The latest on that, and I checked with Eric Craddock this morning, they are still addressing that issue. They have not determined yet whether it is or isn't him. They likely are up there, if they're looking into it, pulling video from this visitor center. I understand there is video there. And maybe pulling that to see if they get a better look. If you've seen the photograph that I just held up to you, sure, it looks a little like him. The hair's a little darker, similar looking eyeglasses, but you can't tell for sure because he's looking down. Could it be him? Possibly. Do I think it is? I think it's highly unlikely. The fact that it's taking some time, they're certainly taking it seriously and looking into it. I can tell you to this point, there have been no credible sightings.
Always, if you're ever put in a position like that and you can, some of the things that I do is I ask for directions. I'll walk up and go and ask for what time it is. You know, something that's really not, not confrontational or anything, very innocent, and everybody's willing to help you out with time. Or if you're lost, if you need to really get there, you can say, hey, can you look at this, and show them a map while you're observing the people. There's ways to do it that are very non-combative, very low, and it gives you an opportunity to review. He also gives another suggestion. I don't know. Sometimes it's off-putting when he said, you look like this kid, so I always use time or location personally. It's just my personal preference. Eric Craddock is the man that we've been seeing on the news talking to Nick Barris about the case. He is out there running this investigation. He hasn't been forthcoming with a whole lot of information, but he did speak to the sheriff. There's not anything right now that confirms whether this is not Sebastian Rogers. However, they're still maintaining there's no credible sighting of Sebastian to date. It's Nick Barris, NC5, right there. I hope you guys can see it. It's probably backwards for you, but that's still, he's been following this. He is a local news reporter in the area. This is the Nick Barris that I'm always talking about that I like. He doesn't mind stepping on some toes. It's not Kimberlina. People are saying it's AI. It's not AI. There's no possibility of it being AI, in my opinion. The generator that is going around saying it's AI is also a generator that says multiple real photos that have been tested are also AI with a high probability, and we know for a fact those photos are legitimate. So I don't trust that program. It has been put to the test, and little legitimate photos that were corroborated, of persons that we know to be true, to know that they are the true person, we put into the generator, and they produced results saying they were AI. It was from the same exact program too. So no, I just be careful. I don't believe it's an AI generated photo at all. I never did. I don't think anybody really does believe it's AI generated. And I also think law enforcement has come out and actually corroborated, not necessarily its authenticity, but definitely that it was not, that it has a low probability of being AI. And it does not appear to be photoshopped in any way. And the person has provided the metadata on this particular photo. So at this point, I feel confident that this photo is a legitimate photo and that this photo was taken when the person said it was taken. The problem is the person was in a rush. She couldn't stay there. She was just happened to snap a shot as she was leaving, trying to get to a family function or something like that. There was something of urgency for the person that took this photo. Otherwise, they would have most likely got out of their car and walked up and asked about it. But that's the reasoning for all of this. But again, they took the photo, they marked it, they've got a metadata, so we know exactly the location and the exact time. I'm pretty sure just about every store this day and age, excuse me, it's from all the lattes. When I start drinking milk, it does something to my, but I love my lattes. I've been off milk for like a year. I start drinking lattes again and I start having problems. So just bear with me. My lattes are important. But they have all that information. So hopefully this has cameras. They can get a good glimpse of him. I heard Seth went out there and basically turned around and came back. He was heading back, I think, the day before yesterday from North Carolina. So it sounds like even Seth went out there to look. I don't know if he was able to garner any information, but I'm pretty sure if they were able to see like a video, they would be able to determine whether it's him. I hear that he has a very, very, very specific walk, a very specific walk. So I wanted you guys to hear that firsthand because I was a little hinky on the details as well. And it does appear that there has been no credible leads or sightings of Sebastian Rogers, but this latest sighting hasn't been debunked yet, is my understanding. So it's not that and people believe that it is Sebastian. I truly don't believe it's Sebastian for a multitude of reasons. I know it upsets some people, but I'm entitled to my opinion as well. And I do this a lot, and I analyze a lot of cases. And to me, unfortunately, I would love nothing more than this boy to come home safely. But this does, to me, looking at it, does not look like him. Okay, just my personal opinion, and I think he resembles him a lot. I do, but I don't think it's him. And so it's just one of those things. I'm one of those people that want to be easy with the Band-Aid, but also want to rip the Band-Aid off quickly. So, I'm sorry, but until better information comes forward, we can't keep hanging our hat. We got to be looking elsewhere. Is he alive? We don't know. I can tell you the probabilities and the statistics aren't good at all. The statistics and probabilities are very grave, to be honest with you. I think everybody that does this stuff and watches this stuff regularly knows what I'm talking about and knows the statistics. You have to know the statistics at this point because you've been watching this long enough to know that the statistics for a child that's been missing this long are not good. Okay? This is not a good situation by any stretch of the imagination. This illusion that this child is in a school somewhere, or this is. I mean, we have to remove those illusions, because when you're deluded with illusions, you can't think outside the box to start thinking of ways to help and ways to try to find Sebastian, because you're stuck in this area. And the bottom line is that there's a lot of professionals now. You have to, put your weight into who you trust and, whatever it may be. But professionally, if he's alive, it's a miracle. Professionally, statistically, okay? If he's alive right now, it is a miracle. He defied statistics, period. And that's not a good. We don't like defying statistics, We had one just in the last 12 months. It was Charlotte Senna. Can we have more? Is there room in this universe for more? I don't know. We also covered, and it's starting to break this morning. Yesterday, we started covering some of the cracks in Katie Proudfoot's family. We learned that her half-sister is in jail for doing really bad stuff to a 15-year-old girl. And, it was SA related. So these are some of the, we've been focusing on the Proudfoots and the Bowersocks and Chris because of his unholy behavior and just POS type of behavior, just being a terrible person. He's being a terrible person and trying to point the finger at everybody else to try to convince them that they're being terrible people. But, apparently now that, this has died down, guys, and I mean died down. What do I mean by died down? I mean, let's just go over some of the stuff that I learned last night. There's absolutely no searches from Nick Barris. Let's just see what we got here. I took some notes. That picture took place in like the Blue Ridge Mountain. The one of Sebastian Rogers was taken place in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. And here's the most notable. There's no active professional searches on this case anymore. No active professional searches. So we've got some people out there, like I don't know why, Terry Lynn. Terry Lynn is out there. There was a couple other people that kind of pulled back. CJ was out there. Narca Diver was out there. Everybody pulled out of the case. And so there's really only Terry Lynn, in my opinion, unless I'm missing a creator. And if I am, I'm sorry. Send me your work and let me see what you're doing. I'm happy to, talk about you. But there doesn't appear to be anybody out there but Terry Lynn. He touches on the criminal investigation of this. It says it's not an criminal investigation, but it is an investigation. So they are investigating this, and even though they don't have any evidence of foul play, they still don't know where Sebastian Rogers is. And guys, I don't know how this is possible, or if this is just smoke and mirrors. I almost choked myself. I'm still having a hard time putting into words how I feel about this. We learned they passed their lie detector test. We learned through Nick Barris, law enforcement, because he talked to you guys heard him. He talked to law enforcement that morning and got some information from what is it, Nick Craddock or whatever his name is? Craddock? And that's what he says. They passed the lie detector test, and he followed it by, they're not reliable. And quite frankly, Chris has had time to research how to pass one by now. He delayed. I just don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. There are many reasons why I'd like to see the testing questions themselves. I'd like to know who the tester was. Was it Sumner County or was it truly TBI? Because we know Sumner County has the case. And I feel very uncomfortable with Sumner County because we're hearing rumors, and I wish they would quell the rumors if they're untrue, that a member of Christopher Proudfoot works in their department. And I would like to know whether that's true or not. And I think that the public has a right to know, personally speaking. Just my preference and my personally speaking. But getting back to this, we've been looking at the Bower socks and everything, and people are now starting to turn their attention to Katie Proudfoot and what lies behind the walls of Katie Proudfoot's life. What kind of childhood trauma has she had? What kind of upbringing has she had? Who is she as a person? Who was she raised with? This is the stepsister, which looks awfully like her. So obviously it was her mother's daughter and another man. So it's her half-sister or her stepsister or whatever. It looks like her. That's all I got to say. I don't know where her looks come from, if it comes from her mama or her daddy. Either way, this is a gal that is in jail for, is this the right one for her? No, this is not the right one. There it is. Katie's sister, for essay of a 15-year-old girl. Her name is McClure. Now, of course, my camera wants to fall forward. So I'm going to get this all pulled up now. I've got it already saved, and then we're going to be talking about this because this right here, to me, seems like a little hinky for me. There is a whole host of issues that lie in the behind the scenes of Katie Proudfoot. It seems like her whole entire family has been infected with incestual tendencies, SA, MUR, DER, really bad stuff. Okay. So this person here, let me just read this entire post for you guys, and then you guys will see what I'm talking about. And actually, as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull it up. Good gracious. There we go. This is what I'm reading right here. This is on the mysterious disappearance, if this thing doesn't stay up, the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. And this is from a post, and it says, okay, hear me out. Here I did some digging. I could be completely wrong here, but this looks like it could be Katie's half-sibling. Here's the first picture. It's uncanny. Frances, Katie's mother, married a man by the name of Larry Paul McClure in 1995, and the marriage license is attached. I'll show you guys that in just a second. Also, you see a story on Larry Paul McClure. An RSO murdered daughter's boyfriend to marry daughter Amanda McClure. This is some sick stuff. With the help of another daughter. If this is all connected, and this person says, if I'm wrong, I apologize, but what are the odds and locations? And I'm sorry, this girl here, and there's another picture of her at a bar drinking, and it's almost a spitting image of Katie Proudfoot. And I'll find it. So this is from the Leader Telegram. This is the photo for that, and this is what it says. A Chippewa Falls woman convicted of intoxicating a 15-year-old girl with, liquor, and then luring the teen into her BED. So it was an SA type of thing that happened. And so this is Laura L. McClure. She's 36, and she has 2 second-degree accounts of SA on a child. So she was, obviously, and she was convicted right along with her boyfriend. And this was in an apartment, and they will be sentenced December 5th. But this all happened back in 2015, I believe. 2015. So I don't know. I believe her sister is still in jail, but I have no earthly idea. There is the marriage license of Larry Paul McClure on here. Is it McClure? McClure? I think is how you pronounce his name. I don't know. And this is the article right here. That is the man. He worked with 2 daughters to unalive his daughter's boyfriend so he could marry his daughter. I mean, some really sick and twisted stuff is in the past and history of Katie Proudfoot. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I find it funny because, one of the issues that we had is Chris Proudfoot thought that because Sebastian was ARD, which now let's talk about this. All of this incestual stuff going on, all these SA allegations attached to Katie Proudfoot's family and everything like that. Why would Chris think that by being an SA survivor or an R survivor, are you going to turn into the perpetrator? And that's what he thought was going to happen with Sebastian Rogers. Well, it sounds like something happened to Katie Proudfoot when she was younger. I don't see how all of this can be going on in her life and her not be affected in a very unnatural and probably inappropriate way. I mean, we have to look at that allegation and that angle with all of this going on behind the scenes of Katie Proudfoot. And maybe the reason why she has nothing to do with her family, because I'm under the impression that there's something going on with her mother too. So, we might be dealing with a very messed up Katie Proudfoot, one that paints on a very strong face, but is just a mess behind the scenes. An absolute and utter mess. And she probably struggles silently every day. Not that it gives her any excuse, but one of the things that I look for is reasons, right? You always want to find out whether we agree with the reasons or not. Her mom has been has charges of SA too. So this was kind of the environment she was around. And you would think that a woman that has come from an environment like this would protect her son so much so that she would be just never letting him out of his sight to be affected by SA or R himself. Yet he was affected by SA and R himself. And then we find all of this unnatural and perverted history related to Katie Proudfoot. And it makes us wonder how in the world Sebastian could be SA'd or R'd at such a young age. People are confirming some of my suspicions. 13 years old. That's sad. That's sad. But then it comes back to, again, she lived through it. Was she also an abuser? Did she abuse because she was abused? Because that's what they're wanting us to allege. Or, Chris is wanting, that's the reason why Chris wanted to kick Sebastian out of the house, is because he was assaulted when he was 8 years old. And he thought he was going to be injuring Faith because he was assaulted. Well, if his wife has all of these assaults in her past, if she didn't turn into an assaulter, what would make or give him, make him equate an assault to being a perpetrator? So based upon that, does he know something about Katie that we don't know? I mean, it's a legitimate question based upon his own statements. I was SA'd when I don't know how, so young. I'm so sorry. Right, you could never fathom doing that. So Why would Chris assume that, especially his wife being a survivor, that would be the progression for Sebastian Rogers? I don't understand that. But it also comes back to the fact that I always believe, you know, when it comes to how this whole thing transpired, this whole case, and you look back on it, and I think we touched on it, it doesn't make sense for a variety of reasons. But when it comes back to the dog and the fact that the dog hit on the door, it didn't dawn on me until yesterday or the day before yesterday. My days run together. That's why I can't tell you. I can tell you it's within the last 2 days. But I was thinking, you know, he kept making it a point, and I even wrote it down. Why does he keep saying went out the front door and off the porch? He kept saying off the porch, and I thought, that's just a weird way of describing something. Why is he saying off the porch? And so then I go back into some of the other information that we have. And I learned, I remember it, I remember discussing it, but it's one of those things where there's so many things that are moving all at once. Things that we learned early on, we forget about because things went a little wonky over here. And sometimes we're like, oh, that's right, that happened. Like even the garbage can thing. Everybody kept going on about, you know, he didn't take out the garbage. And then one day I was here, I'm like, wait a minute. I remember early on in the case, we have a video footage of him taking the garbage out, you know, that was alleged that there was a video of it. So, and it was from law enforcement that said it or something like that. It was like a little news clip, okay? And so I'm like, oh, so it was corroborated. He did take the garbage out, but we forgot about it. And it just popped in my head when I was talking on a live stream, because that's kind of sometimes how it happens. I'm talking about something and something will just pop in my head. And so this was kind of no different. The other day, I was sitting here listening to this and analyzing, and I just happened to go across something else, and everything kind of clicked for me. And it dawned on me that day, there was a moment when, earlier in the day, when Katie and Sebastian come home. We assume it's after the BJ trip, after the Colossal Popcorn, because they got snacks, and it sounds like they came home before they went to the bowling alley. One of the neighbors said that they saw Katie and Sebastian pull up and go into the garage. Like the garage door came up and they pulled the car into the garage. Sebastian came out and went out and got the mail. And when he was coming back in, he got up on the porch and tried to get in the front door. Now, mind you, something else I didn't say yesterday or the day before, he never coded in the key code to get into the front door. He couldn't get in. He got off the porch and went in through the garage. And that was, I also misspoke. I said that was the day that he went missing, kind of, sort of. It was the day before he went missing. So his scent would have still been there, is all I'm saying. And it would have shown him going to that front door and coming and getting off that front porch. That's what it would have showed, because that's what he did, and they have that on camera. And the neighbors saw it. So I'm still questioning that whole dog scent at that front door, because we can explain why his scent was there, because we've seen it on a camera. Now, that's one issue that I have with the story, but he goes into the house, and people also make notice that he went into the house, according to his mother, after the steakhouse. According to his mother, he went to bed, and according to his mother, she woke up and he was gone. Nobody saw him leave that house. There's no evidence that boy walked out of that house. There's no evidence that boy still isn't somewhere inside that very large and massive house. There's another key detail that I want to also bring up, and we've talked about it here on this channel before. I didn't find the thumbnail. I'll look for it while I'll change my background so people can know we're talking about the Sebastian Rogers. I'll look for it. It is the floor plan of their home. I have been mulling this over for some time about some details of this case, and my mods have brought up several times about the comment on an interview that Christopher stated when somebody says, "Are you sure he did not go out the window?" And people kind of tore his response up because he's like, no, if he would have went out the window, we would have heard him, saying we, not Katie, but we would have heard him. And people thought that that was a little funny. I did find it, guys, so give me just a minute while it loads. There it is, the floor plan, okay? My question is he says, let me turn this, I'm gonna have to get out of the way. Down here is where Sebastian's room is, right there, okay? Way up here is where Katie and Chris's room is. This is a 3,400 square foot home. So people in smaller homes will not understand what I'm about to say. People in larger homes know exactly what I'm about to say. When you are in larger homes, there's things called sound barriers, okay? These are things that prevent sound from going from one side to the other. For example, if this entire house had none of these walls in it, and you stood over here in Sebastian's room, you probably wouldn't have to talk very loud for it to echo across the house. However, when you put walls up, insulation up, plumbing pipes up, electrical pipes up, some cement, you've got a loft above this car garage, you have great rooms, you have, decorations and other things. These are what are known as sound barriers. That means whenever you're in a large home and you're talking in one room, it makes it very hard for you to hear across the room into another room, like say across the house. So if Katie was either here in the great room or in her room, I don't know how she would hear anything from Sebastian's room way down here. And it also goes back to that conversation that we had related to Sebastian that morning. As you see, Katie, one of Katie's first responses is that she came out of her room and went to wake Sebastian up, which is down here, at 6 a.m. She noticed he wasn't there and thought he might be in the kitchen making himself some breakfast. Remember that statement? The one problem is she walked out of her room basically into the kitchen. Don't you think she would have noticed if her son was in this very open concept kitchen and great room? Just a thought. Another member pointed that out to me as well. So there are a lot of reasons why I personally don't believe that sighting could be Sebastian Rogers for a variety of reasons. Mostly because I believe that something happened to him and happened to him at the hands of his parents. However, Nick Barris reminded us. He reminded us last night. Hold on just a second. Oh. Do you believe left it? Oh, somebody did a little poll. Look at that. Somebody just answered a poll. I'm still learning TikTok after all these years. It's just funny. I get comic out of it. But what was I saying about Sebastian Rogers? I want people to know that this is truly about Sebastian Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy. His parents are something that I just don't understand. Their stories never made sense. We're putting their stories to a test. We found a lot of holes in their story, which caused this massive pressure campaign to be wielded against the Proudfoots. And now people are saying, okay, we know that there's no investigation really going on. It sounds like this case is going cold. We have one unofficial sighting of, there's been many sightings of Sebastian. Nick Barris told us there's been a lot of sightings of Sebastian Rogers. However, none of them have been fruitful. Okay, they have not been confirmed. They've been corroborated as not being Sebastian Rogers. This is the only one, the one that just recently happened. They're still trying to, confirm. But it really, according to Nick, it's really highly unlikely that it's Sebastian Rogers. And, I know people don't want to hear that, but I'm not here to coddle people, okay? People want me to tell them what they want to hear. I don't do that, okay? And if you have to unsubscribe from me because of it, then you got to do what you got to do. But we talk about truth and reality here, and the truth and reality is this is most likely not Sebastian. I'm not giving up hope that Sebastian is going to be found. It's just that I find that when I know something is not logically plausible, I move on. I don't waste my time in it. I don't need the click and view over the conversation. It's time, because I'm here trying to honestly find this boy and a needle in a haystack. I don't have time to keep going down rabbit holes that I don't believe are true. Okay, just to appease people. I have a lot. This is my time. And my time is invested in this boy right here, not in people's feelings. And I know it offends people that I'm like that, but it is the way I work. So there we have it. Nick Barris was telling us that, because they passed the lie detector test, there really isn't any corroborated evidence, anything that links Katie and Chris to this boy. Okay, and I think in reality he's being truthful. And you know what? This is the thing. I didn't think of this until last night, and I was listening to how Nick was handling himself and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, I think him and I are on honestly the same wavelength when it comes to this case. I really do. Do people get some things wrong? Of course, I've gotten several things wrong in this case. Were they major things? Probably not. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to find answers in this case, and I think that that's notable. And it's really heartbreaking that we don't really have a whole lot of law enforcement helping out there searching for him. But that in and of itself, guys, should tell you a lot, right? It really should tell you a lot that they're not out there looking. And while they say that there's no evidence of foul play, they have finally acknowledged that this is an investigation. They just have not acknowledged that it rises to a criminal investigation yet. So we're still struggling with law enforcement to actually attach this to what it needs to be. But at least we've got the goalpost moved a little bit with LE. So now we at least have them acknowledging that this is an investigation. Okay, so we're out of missing person and into an investigation. They're just reluctant to say that this is a criminal investigation. Now would be a great time, guys, if you'd like to throw some questions down. I know you guys probably may have put some questions earlier up, but let's go ahead and start some questions down because I'm not going to scroll up very high. I will scroll up a little bit. But I think the jaw dropper in this whole thing for me from Nick Barris is that law enforcement told him the parents passed the polygraph. That's what I said. Law enforcement told Nick Barris the parents had passed their polygraph. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't know why. Like, show me the test. Show me the stinking test. I want to see the test. All right, let's get down to some questions. I saw some questions coming in. So like I promised, I will scroll up a little bit and try to catch some of the earlier questions. Just because you don't see the police working doesn't mean they aren't. No. This is something that, this is from you need to go over and listen to Nick Barris's. It's not that I'm making it up or that they're not searching. They've acknowledged that they don't have any, and this is the word. Hold on, let me find the word that they used. No active professional searches. So it's not that and I get what you're saying. Some call me Kip. In most cases, you'd be right. Just because we don't see them doesn't mean that they're not looking. But for him to make that statement, for Nick Barris to make that statement, he would have had to have heard that from law enforcement, that there's no active professional searches from their department going on. He just spoke to the police chief 2 days ago, I think. Yesterday morning, I think is what he said, because that was from yesterday. That what we just heard there was from last night. It's odd that LE hasn't debunked the photo, etc. yet, because it's not a debunked photo. The photo, they have actually legitimized the photo by coming out and saying that the photo is not, they don't believe it's AI generated. TBI came out and said that. So, and the person that did post it provided metadata. So I do believe, I don't think it's debunked. I don't think the photo's debunked, but I think corroborating whether or not it's Sebastian Rogers probably more appropriate. I don't think it's really a debunking issue. I think it's more of a corroboration or, I don't know, finding, maybe. I don't know. Who's LE? LE is law enforcement, and the investigative body is Sumner County, not TBI. We heard it was TBI, and apparently it's not. I thought they did say it was a criminal investigation. Well, he kind of explained that, Kelsey. He says that they elaborated on it, but they would not. He specifically said they would not rise to the level of saying that it was a criminal investigation. But he did get them to say it's an investigation. That it is a type of investigation, I think is how he said it. I don't remember. You'll have to go back and look at Nick Barris. He's on Facebook. It's Nick Barris, and I think it's NC5. And he did it last night. You saw a picture of him. I might have a picture. Oh, sorry, here. Hold on a second. I did it again. Good gracious. There he is. This guy right here. This is Nick Barris. And he was on a live last night. So this is what he looks like. Go back there and find him. And you guys will, you guys can listen to his entire conversation. I think he was on there for like 45 minutes. It's great information. Like, I don't know. So, some people don't like a whole lot of long-winded stuff. But I find it, information. I find these, when you talk and you talk about your feelings, I find that it, sometimes when people talk about something, even something that you heard, might jog something you weren't expecting. Like there's been so many times that I hear something and like the fourth time I hear something and like the light bulb goes off over my head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about this aspect of it. I didn't think about this realm of it. I didn't think about this. I didn't think about that, So I think it's really super important to listen to everything. And he is a wealth of information. This is Nick Barris. Again, he's been on the case from the beginning. I love watching his work. I like that he's a respectful, like to me, this guy right here is traditional media. This is the stuff that I love from media back in the day, where they don't mind asking the tough questions. They don't mind stepping on the toes. They don't mind ruffling the feathers. And this is that guy out there in their area. And God bless him for that. So go over there and listen to it, because I'm telling you, he has some information and he's got a direct connect to the law enforcement there. So he's telling you stuff that law enforcement is telling him or allowing him to share. So that's what I like to hear. If you guys want legitimate stuff, this is where you go get it. He's right there, boots on the ground. He's in the community. He's highly respected, and he doesn't mind stepping on toes. He gets the seal of approval, at least on this story, from Bullhorn Betty. Okay? Just letting you know. And I'm tough. I'm a tough cookie. So there you have it, guys. We got a lot of stuff behind the walls of Katie Proudfoot. Again, it doesn't look good. It actually, what I'm finding, it makes me feel bad, Not that there's any excuse for what she's doing right now, and there is, but you know what? It doesn't make me understand what she's going through, but it makes me understand her just a little bit more, if that makes sense. I still condemn her actions. A lot of us have had our own childhood traumas, our own problems in our families, and we love our children, and we love children's children, and we love other people's children, and we want to protect them all. And we definitely wouldn't, if our family member, our friend's family member, we definitely would not be in a motorcycle shop shopping for a motorcycle instead of looking for the loved one that's lost. I'm sorry. There's just not a person that I know, hang around with, or any otherwise, even here on this platform. Even the people that condemn me, I don't even see them dropping as low as this right here. They're sitting here supporting this woman, and they wouldn't even do the actions she's doing themselves. I can't do that. I'm not a fake person. I can't sit there and smile in your face and act like you're my friend. I am not constructed like that. I mean, I can play a game, not long, right? Because I'm telling you, if I don't like you, I can act like I like you for a little bit, but my true colors come out quick. I'm a mouthy broad. What can I say? You know what? Janine, hopefully I said your name correctly. Yeah, I think we're all kind of feeling that it's going to be another Summer Wells case. This is a hot mess express of a case. It was a hot mess express of a case for Summer Wells. And, and another thing is, I think Nick Barris, he works in the community, and he's saying law enforcement is really working it. Now, and I agree, and maybe they are. And I said, that I've been critical. Let's be honest. I've been very critical of law enforcement. It's because of their quacky-dack bull crap up front. I feel like they wasted time believing the crap of Katie and Chris. And I think it was the most important time that they needed to be focusing on them. And so I'm a little hot under the collar about that. But in the grand scheme of things, I do know they got their crap together. You can see that at least by day 8, when they started scaling back the searches, they were starting to stink eye the Proudfoots. So that was my contention. It was the first 8 days. I think they dropped the ball. I think they fumbled it. If they're doing an excellent job right now, that's fine. But I've been watching these cases long enough that I truly feel that law enforcement fumbled the ball at the beginning. Are they pulling out all the stops? I think they started pulling out all the stops when they realized this is not your run-of-the-mill missing person child case. But it took them a little bit to get there when we were all screaming from the sidelines. And that's what upsets me. It's easy to dog social media, but you know what? What are you going to say when you dog us and then we turn out to be right? What do you do then? I guarantee we're not going to get, well, I'm sorry for hurting your feelings, right? We got to do that to every single stinking everybody else. But they don't get to do it to us. When did her stepdad commit this crime? Let's look. Actually, I've got it up on my other phone. It'll probably be easier for me to look on my other phone. Let me just look it up real quick. I think it might still even be up because it was the last thing that we talked about. Well, this was an article from 2019. It says a registered SO who served more than 17 years in prison for SA, a young relative, is now charged with murdering his daughter's boyfriend and then marrying her. A registered SO who served more than 17, then marrying her. And it says Larry Paul McClure, Sr., 55, of Pendleton, Kentucky, is charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy in a Valentine's Day killing of John Thomas McGuire, 38, of Ottawa. And you know what? Actually, the guy wasn't a bad guy. I'm like, for the daughter, I don't know why you would allow him to get rid of that for your dad. Like, I'm sorry. You know what? This world is a really fucked up place, and I'm sorry for cussing, but there are just some days it takes everything in me just to keep my composure about how fucked up some people and some families in this country are. Just pure fucked up. Well, welcome to Katie Proudfoot's family. Don't know what else to say. I guess we kind of understand why we're here. It's becoming crystal clear, Christopher Proudfoot, why we're here. Crystal freaking clear. No wonder he thought Sebastian was going to turn into a monster, because his mother turned into a freaking monster. That's why. That's the truth. So, Nick Barris, I love your work. And I know we don't have any evidence to point our fingers at Chris and Katie. I'm still going to point my finger at Chris and Katie until proven otherwise, okay? They can't produce their child. They can't prove how this child disappeared. They assume this child walked out the door, but they don't even have any proof of that. From where I'm standing, this child went into that home and never walked out of that home. So by all means, please let me know. By all means, tell me about myself. I think I'm going to do a call-in show later today on my channel. I think I'm going to do a call-in show later today on my YouTube channel. And I think we're going to tell Christopher Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot about themselves. Why not? I think I'm ready to drag. I think I'm ready to drag. I don't know how my car is turning out. I know somebody asked about my car in here, if my car's doing well. The mechanic, for the first time in a long time, has given me some decent news. I'll leave it at that. Decent news. And there's one minor problem left to resolve, and hopefully it's getting resolved today. I don't want the car back unless it's running. If it has one little dude, I'm just going to tell him, keep it. Keep the car. Keep the car until it's fixed right. But he said the computer's in. He said even though it was pre-programmed, it still needed to be calibrated. And I'm like, well, I'm not a calibrator. So maybe it's just as simple as calibrating the shit. I hope. I don't know. I just want to get out of Florida at this point, okay? I just want to get out of Florida. It's been 2 stinking months. Guys, I tell you, I think this trip, whenever I leave, I don't know if I'm coming back. I've been stuck in this home for 2 solid months. Oh, well. Oh, well. Anyways, guys, it's been great and enjoyable to hang out with you. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm beating my head against the wall. I need to either get an animal or a boyfriend. I don't know. Should we go? Should we do a poll? Should we fix Betty's life? How many want to be involved in my personal life and help me getting my shit together? A fish? Does a fish travel well? Hey, St. Paul. I knew you guys would like that. I don't think we're going to do a poll for Betty's life. Man for Betty. Gee, banana. She's going to... Somebody says a goldfish. Somebody says a pet. Should I try like a plant first to see if I can keep it alive before I go all in for a boyfriend? I don't want to be on the Bullhorn Betty show. Go for the plant, then the pet. If I can keep the pet alive, then I'm ready. Good idea. You girls, you guys kill me. Get a small fluffy one. You guys kill me. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys had your laugh for today. Go make it a great day. And TGIF, it's Friday. You guys should be having a great time. Dance on your table. Your boss won't care. Just make sure you do it when he's out of the office. He's got to take a lunch break sometime. All right. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for your favorite content creator. Yours truly, me.